Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Steel City Underground WTF podcast. My name is Terry Fletcher, and we are at week 5 for the podcast this week, and we have lots of happenings around the league. First, I want to start with what's happening on Tuesday Night Football. That's our first WTF. Yes, it was the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans, who've been off for 2 weeks because of the COVID outbreak, they had almost, 20, 30 players and personnel that tested positive, so they pushed everybody into a bye, everybody back, and they ended up winning 42-16 over the Bills. I'm positive people are not happy about that, but here's my WTF moment. So this is a team that basically screwed the Steelers. Let's just put it out there. And we had to take a bye week 4. But how many fans did we get to have in our game this weekend? 5,500. How many fans did they have in their Tuesday night game? 8,600. WTF is all I have to say about that. So yeah, I'm not excited about that. Now we're down to 3 teams that are undefeated because Buffalo went in at 4-0 and Tennessee went in at 3-0, and now they're 4-0 and Buffalo is 4-1. So another WTF moment, and actually it's breaking news. So you might hear this from Joe on one of our other podcasts, but Le'Veon Bell, a former Steeler running back who sat out the whole entire 2018 season and that whole holdout for money, he has been released by the New York Jets. Yes, he's been released. And so they basically got sick of his, pissing and moaning about just complaints about everything. Yes, they're 0-5, and we knew this was going to happen. I mean, we saw the writing on the wall. And sure enough, they paid him whatever his guaranteed amount was. I'm sure they'll still have to pay him something, but he was also tied into incentives and bonuses this year. I know for 2020, they owed him an additional $6 million. And he's made $20 million in a year, and with between injuries and just not playing and etc. I don't know if they think that was such a great idea, but obviously with his release, there he goes. So I know a lot of people are calling for a reunion. Guys, I don't see it happening. If it happens, it would be truly on a minimum salary. We paid him enough. They've paid him enough, and he'd have to know his role. So who do we get rid of? Do we get rid of McFarland? Do we get rid of, obviously not James Conner? I mean, Samuels probably, but we've also now got Ray McLeod. So we've got some really good options and we're undefeated. So, and the other thing is too, remember when all that happened, he would not return text from Ben, from the coach. He would not communicate what he was doing until the very end. And he even said in an interview that, now I'm with a better organization and got my guarantees. Well, you know what? Go spend them somewhere. So it's really sad because he has a lot of talent, and I just can't even imagine they'd have him come back. But for those of you that were hating on Coach Tomlin when all that came down between him and Antonio Brown back in the day, he's looking like a genius right now. And I don't know how he put up with them for as long as he did. So that's our WTF. Some of our gossip moments there, but that's what's going on out there. So let's take a look at what's going on in the league. I'm actually going to start with the Steelers this week. So we did win 38-29, and I'm happy for the win. But I don't know if you guys thought it was as frustrating a game as I did. First of all, we had 4 pass interferences, both on the defensive and offensive side. And both Gene Stellatori, who is a former referee, Mike Pereira, who's also a former ref, they were both commentating the game, and they agreed that there were 4 of them that were suspect. I mean, Joe Hayden's got to be like, I'm not even touching him. What are you doing? His WTF is got to be like, okay, can you explain to me what pass interference is now? Because we don't get it. So yeah, it's been pretty terrible as far as the refs are going. So let's move on to a positive WTF. How about Chase Claypool? They call him now Mapletron because he's Canadian, and they said they're going to name a city or a town after him. Who knows? But 4 touchdowns, 3 receiving, 1 rushing. And yes, I lost my mind and lost my head thinking I wasn't sure if this Tuesday game was going to go. And I had Stephon Diggs on my fantasy team. And Chase was on my bench with almost 40 points. So yes, I deserved to lose my fantasy this week. It was very unfortunate. I did win one, lost 2 of them, but I cannot believe Chase was on my bench. And I knew I should have played him. I knew it. With Juju only getting 4.8 points, and, Stephon did get me 15, but it was not what I needed. I needed those 40 points. But also, when we're looking at our game, it's just interesting because we've had, and this is a great WTF, we have had every week, and sometimes this is missed, we've had not only turnovers on defense, but we have had a pick play where we've actually been able to take the ball away, not just, making sure that our defense is holding. So this week it was Steven Nelson, and it is awesome. We are on a roll. I really like that Ray McLeod guy. I just think that he is going to have some speed, some spark for us, and we're doing well. I'm excited. So Steelers are 4-0. First time since 1979 we've been 4-0, and when we are 3-0, we actually go on to Super Bowl. So this is going to be a fun season. Ben is back, and I'm excited. So let's look at the Seahawks, who are 5-0. That's the other team that's undefeated still. Sunday Night Football, everybody wants to anoint, Russell Wilson as the next MVP. There's a very good possibility. He's throwing touchdown after touchdown, and I get that. And with 15 seconds left, he throws one to DK Metcalf, and they basically, from a Kirk Cousins fumble, that was his WTF moment, and they win 27-26. But think about this. They squeaked by. In week 4, 31-23. Week 3, 38-21 from the Cowboys. They are defensively giving away a ton of points. And so, yes, they have a high-powered offense, absolutely, but you got to have somebody stopping you on the other end. So it'll be interesting to see how far they get and just how much wear and tear Russell can make. But they are 5-0, so they're going to be a team to contend with coming up here soon. Well, another coach bites the dust, and that would be the Atlanta Falcons. So they just relieved Dan Quinn of his job, and I'm not really surprised. I'm surprised in my WTF moment is Adam Gase, New York Jets. He's 0-5, and he still has a job. What about when you're dealing with Joe Judge on the Giants? Now I realize he's new, but they're 0-5 as well, and he still has a job. That's just embarrassing for that market. Both New York teams are 0-10. I mean, collectively, wow, that is just crazy. Now, for those of you that we are in the AFC and we know, or at least it's been brought to our attention, that the Super Bowl is most likely going to go through Kansas City. Well, Kansas City played the Raiders over the weekend, and Derek Carr beat Patrick Mahomes. Well, we know his mother doesn't like Pat, but you know what? When you lose, you get Pat. You get your nickname. So Pat Mahomes, basically, they lost a division game. They lost a lot. And so it's really going to be interesting just to see how far they can go. And was this just a unfortunate, because now Kansas City's 4-1. They were favored by 11. Talk about blowing up my parlay. But it was a crazy game. I think the fact that it was 40-32. It was crazy score. The over was just nuts. But I think what really helped Derek Carr, honestly, was his rookie wide receiver, Ruggs, the third. He was awesome. But Trent Brown is back from injuries, and that linebacker, he is amazing. He's 6'7", 380 pounds, and that right tackle, he gave Carr all day to throw deep. And that's what you need out there if you're going to do anything in this league. The Dolphins, they killed the 49ers 43-17. But here is the WTF moment in that game. Guess who got sat? Their $1 million man, Garoppolo. So Jimmy, they said they're not sure what they're going to do. He had a lot of rust on him, just came back from a 2-week injury. And so he definitely had some rest. There was no question. I like to usually start with Thursday Night Football, but I wanted to save that one because I thought that was just so poetic. It was Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Nick Foles getting a start in Chicago. And remember who beat Brady in Super Bowl 52 on February 4th, 2018 for the 2017 season? That would be Nick Foles. And he was a Philadelphia Eagle back then. And he was the backup to Wentz, who was injured. Well, now he's coming in, and he's coming in for Trubisky, and he beat Brady again, 20-17. to 19. So talk about his kryptonite. It was crazy. Now, Brady had his own WTF senior moment in the game. At the very end of the game, he was asking for a 4th timeout. Yes, I'm sorry, you only get 3. Now, Bruce Arians kind of threw him under the bus after that, basically said he knew how many timeouts he has. He was just trying to save face. And Bruce Arians, he doesn't stick up for anybody when he thinks she made a bonehead move. So, yes, Brady did lose that one. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out going forward because, Brady's been the darling of everything going on. And Bruce Arians kind of thought, I think, that he has this gem out there. And Brady looks 43. He does. I mean, he's fine, and he's still in the top 10. There's no question. Probably even top 6 if I was going to give my own opinion. But he looks like he's weathered, and he is not, to me, the number 1 quarterback anymore. Now, one of the really sad things that happen, and these are 2 things, and these are WTF, is our prayers and thoughts and everything go out to Dak Prescott with his injury and Cowboys, and he had a compound fracture of his ankle. He had surgery that very night. He's looking at a 6 to 8 month recovery. They pin him at June 2021 so that he can come back for hopefully training camp that's going to be live next year. But he is definitely out for the season. It's really sad too because he was very upset. But who entered the game? Andy Dalton. Well, Andy Dalton, as we know, he used to be playing for the Bengals, and Ben owns him. So we play the Cowboys November 8th, week 9. And I think that's going to be a crazy game because we know what to expect. I really hope that, Dak, he's probably going to be franchise tagged, I would think, because he was looking for $40 million a year. And as much as you hate to talk about that, and some of you may be like, WTF Terry, but you guys, this is a business. Think about that and the injuries and some of the players that have really wanted to, make their mark and make their money, and they can't because of injury. And that gets us to Alex Smith. So remember, Alex Smith was Washington when they were Redskins, now the Washington football team. And he had 17 surgeries on his leg, and it was a terrible leg injury. And he basically had a Joe Theismann type injury. And so after 17 surgeries, he actually came back and entered the game as a backup to the backup because they had to sit Haskins. They benched him because it was a horrible game. They actually ended up losing 30-10. But to see Alex Smith actually back on the field, I held my breath when he got hit, and it was actually watching a red zone after our game was over. But, you have to give that guy some credit. The fact that he even wanted to be back on the field. 17 surgeries. 17. I just can't stop saying that. That's a WTF for absolutely forever. But he has a titanium rod in his right leg, and he is out on the field playing quarterback. What the heck? I mean, that is just absolutely crazy. So, a couple other things that we have going into the next week. Actually, one of the things I wanted to just mention that I thought was an interesting Sunday, Monday, Tuesday with all the games. There was only one team, and that was the Ravens-Bengals game, where they beat them 27-3, where every team gave up at least 15 points. I think there was one other team that gave up 14, but everybody else was in the 20s, and they gave up a lot of points, the opposing teams this week. So I think defenses really have to tighten things up if they're hoping to keep some records out there. I just thought that was just an interesting stat as I'm looking at all the scores, and I was watching a lot of the games and some of the different things that were going on. So what do we do next week? Well, we are seeing the Browns. And you would think Cleveland, that Ben just owns Cleveland, as we do. But the Browns are coming in to Pittsburgh at 4-1. Yes, the Browns have actually won 4 games. So don't think it's going to be an easy game. People like to call it trap games. I don't like to use that term, but we've seen it happen. But we're playing at home. We're going to have our 5,500 people there. And so we're excited to get that game going. And we just can't wait for hopefully another positive WTF. And you better believe that I will have Chase Claypool in my lineup for my fantasy team. So everyone, make it a great day and a great week. And thank you for listening to Steel City Underground Podcast, WTF.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.